Guys. Sorry we had some technical difficulties here with our other live. So we're gonna give people a few minutes here to hop in, but hope everyone's doing well tonight. See, we only have a couple of viewers right now, so we're gonna give people a few minutes here tonight. We are gonna touch on fairway woods and long irons, hybrids, things like that. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulty here. We had an issue with the last stream, so we're going to try to get people to come over here now. Um, so yeah, we're going to give people a few minutes. Hope everyone's doing pretty well on this Monday night. Um, some start of a good week. We had some fun. Watched the Dell Technologies match play this weekend. That was interesting to watch. I don't know about you, but I love watching match play now. I know there's been a lot of talk kind of going around, people asking whether there should be a major. I think match play is just fun to watch, especially when guys are playing well that haven't been playing well of late. That the competitive juices just come out during match play. It's great to see. So we are seeing some people hop in here. Again, we had some technical difficulties with the other live, so I apologize for that. For those that are in here, welcome. My name is Josh Kelly. This is week 5 of SwingU Live, so we're so excited to have you here tonight. If you were here the other weeks, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. My name is Josh Kelly. I'm a golf instructor, content creator. I've taught on the SwingU app over the last few years. Now I'm happy to be doing these lives once a week. Every single Monday night, we're getting together. We're spending 30 minutes to an hour just hanging out, talking about golf, talking about how we can get better, talking about everything from equipment to swing mechanics and so on and so forth. And tonight we're talking about fairway woods and long irons. Okay, something that is a tough shot for a lot of golfers out there, including myself. The fairway wood, the 3-wood off the deck, one of the hardest shots to hit in golf. So we're going to talk about how we can hit these better. Okay, so again, welcome back to SwingU Live. This is our week. This is week 5. So if you guys haven't seen the other 4 weeks, go ahead and go back and watch them. We covered driving, we covered irons, we covered wedges, and we covered putters as well last week. So go check that out. So I do apologize once again for the technical difficulty, but we're going here and we're going to get this show on the road. Why don't we start off with 3-woods, okay? 3-wood off the deck can be one of the hardest shots to hit. And tonight I really want to focus in on trying to help with our contact, okay? Let's work on getting better contact. Okay, when we talked about the driver in the first week, we talked a lot about low point control, okay? The driver, since the ball is teed up nice and high, we're hitting the ball on the way up, right? So we're hitting, our low point is going to bottom out behind the golf ball, catch the ball on the way up. With our irons, our low point is bottoming out in front of the golf ball. So we're hitting ball first, and then we're hitting divot. Okay, when we're any shot that's off the ground, any shot that we hit that's off the deck, that's not teed up, we cannot have a low point that's behind the golf ball. Now, with the 3-wood, we can get away with a low point that's a little bit behind the ball. But anytime the club starts to move on the way up with a ball that's off the ground, you're not going to be able to hit it correctly. Okay, so with the 3-wood, we want again this club to bottom out right around the golf ball, if not just a little bit after the ball. Okay, for good contact. Now we're going to talk about hitting the 3-wood first. Let's talk about hitting it off the tee and then off the deck. Okay, so there's some golfers out there that love to hit their 3-wood off the tee. They hit it really well off the tee, but when it comes to hitting it off the deck, they cannot hit it off the deck. And most of the reason why is the low point control and bottoming out behind the ball. Because this is what we see a lot. This is what I see most of the time. So let's talk about this first. Number 1, if you're someone who likes to hit the 3-wood off the tee a lot, I really want you to think about your tee height. Because if you're teeing the ball up too high, you're going to start getting used to hitting the ball on the way up with your 3-wood. Again, with the driver, we're hitting it on the way up. If we start teeing this ball up too high with the 3-wood, we're going to have the low point bottoming out behind the ball, and we're hitting on the way up. Otherwise, if this ball is teed way up in the air, we're not going to be able to hit down, and the ball is going to drive directly into the ground here. So if I set set up here and I tee this ball up this high, let's just say that's 1.5 inches, 2 inches off the ground. I mean, the ball is completely above the top of the crown of the 3-wood, and I see this sometimes. You wouldn't tee this golf ball up so high if you're hitting an iron on a par 3, would you? So, you know, when we're teeing up the iron shots, we're only teeing them up maybe 1/4 inch above the ground. So we need to do the same thing here with the driver, because if I tee this ball up nice and high here, the only way for me to hit it is to hit it on the way up. Okay, if I don't hit the ball on the way up here off a high tee, I'm not going to get the result I'm looking at. So say I'm somebody who doesn't like to hit my driver, and I'm hitting my 3-wood off the tee all the time. Maybe I'm hitting my 3-wood off the tee maybe 9 times out of, you know, the 13 tee balls that we have that aren't par 3s out on the course. And I'm only hitting the 3-wood off the deck maybe 2-3 times around, maybe into par 5s or longer par 4s. Then I'm getting my body used to hitting this ball off a high tee. Now, as I step here, my tendency is just going to fall back and hit the ball on the way up because I'm so used to hitting it on the way up with a high tee. So my first point that I want to drive home tonight is if you are somebody who hits a lot of shots with your 3-wood off the tee, make sure you're teeing the ball nice and low, okay? We want that ball to be teed up maybe 1/4 inch off the ground, similar to your iron shots, okay? This ball should not be teed up higher than the middle of the face, okay? If you start to tee it up here where, you know, with the driver, we talked about how we kind of want the golf ball cut in half with the top crown of the driver. If you start doing that with a 3-wood, you're going to start training yourself to hit the ball on the way up, okay? So that's a no-no when we start training ourselves that way and we get out to the fairways and we're trying to hit it off the ground. And guess what? When you're trying to hit this thing off the ground and that club starts working up before it gets to the ball, you're in trouble. You're never going to have good, consistent contact because you're always going to either chunk it, hit behind it, or you're going to hit it on the way up and blade it or top it. Okay, we get that a lot. A lot of people struggle with topping their 3-woods. So we have to make sure that if we are hitting a lot of 3-woods off the tee, they're teed up nice and low. Okay, because we talked about how we want that low point to be just in front of the golf ball or bottoming out, you know, right around the golf ball. Now, when we're hitting our short irons, okay, we're taking more of a divot, okay, than we were going to take with our long irons. When we're hitting our long irons, we're taking more of a divot than we are with a 3-wood. Okay, the 3-wood, there's some people that do like to take more of a divot. Sergio Garcia, if you watch him hit a 3-wood, he does hit down on it a little bit more than most. And he hits more ball first, divot second. That probably requires a little bit more skill, okay? I like my players to have more of a flatter, longer low point with the 3-wood so they can get away with it more. It's more like you're brushing the club off the ground, okay? So the club can kind of stick into the ground for longer. If we get really steep, that club's going to bounce off the ground, okay? It's going to bounce more off the ground because we have this huge sole on the 3-wood that we don't have with our irons. If we're getting really steep, it's going to bounce and you're not going to have that much room, that margin for error. So try to get a little more shallow and have a wider low point with the 3-wood. But we really need to make sure that we're not training ourselves to hit up on the ball with the 3-wood, okay? Again, anytime the ball is on the ground, we have to have a low point that's in front of the golf ball, all right? So we need to work on getting the club to bottom out in front, okay? What are the biggest reasons why we see people fall back, okay? Because they're looking at this club that's, one, really long, that has not a lot of loft to it, and they're thinking, man, how am I going to get this ball up in the air? Well, in order to hit this ball up in the air, I got to add some loft to this club. I got to flip my hands. I got to fall back, okay? And that's just a recipe for disaster. Really, what we want to see is driving down through it. We're not getting really steep, like I said. We're having more of a shallow swing because, number one, we have a longer club. We're standing further away from it. This should help us shallow out our swing and our arc a little bit better than most. So, you know, we really want to feel like we're staying down through it and we're getting a lot of extension through the ball. Okay, so what we see when we're falling back and we're flipping and we're adding arc, what are we seeing? No extension here. The left arm bends over, falls over this way. Okay? When we're staying down and driving through it, what are we seeing? A lot of extension with our arms through the ball. It's such a crucial part of hitting long irons and 3-woods is nice extension through the ball. Maybe a lot of you guys struggle with chicken winging it, flipping, getting really, hands really close to your body on the way through. Disaster for most golf shots. You're not going to hit any golf shot's good that way, but especially when it comes to your 3-wood and your long iron. So let's talk about a couple drills here. We talked about extension. This is something I like to do. Take the handle, put it in your gut here, and grab the club down how you typically would grab it. I love drills that you can work on at home because, I have 2 kids, 2 and 4. I'm sure you guys may have kids. Maybe you're working. We're busy as golfers. So anytime we can find drills that we can work on at home that can translate to the golf course, love it. So I love this drill here where you just put the handle into your gut and take some small swings. And you can allow that handle to come off your gut a little bit here and come through here and extend towards the target. This is going to help keep a one-piece motion. The shoulders are going through the target, and we're getting our hands away from our body on the way through. Think about it as shaking hands with the club face. Okay, this is a great drill to work on. Now, it just doesn't allow you to bring your hands up because that handle is in your gut. So you can keep that handle kind of in your belly button, if you like, on the way through. Okay, and it helps you rotate your body, get your hands towards the target. Another thing you do is you can find a wall or something, like I'm seeing here. And what we're going to do is just set up here. We're going to take one hand, extend it out to the target, and all we're going to do is maintaining our golf posture here. We're going to come up and we're going to grab that club with our right hand. So we're going to do this. This is a great drill to kind of just do over and over and over again because it doesn't feel like much extension here, but once I bring that right hand to it, I feel a lot of extension through. Okay? More extension, the better. I really like to feel like the ball is here. The ball is here, and as we come down and through, that club is kind of staying on the ground for as long as we possibly can. I know that can't really happen. It can't stay on the ground forever, obviously, but a good feeling is kind of brushing the grass in front of the golf ball, and that club is driving down and through and extending towards the target. Okay, that's a couple of great drills there. This drill, things you guys need to work on in your house as much as you possibly can. Make sure in this drill you're in your posture, not just standing straight up. Take your golf posture here, like you're setting up to a ball. Push the club out to where you're maybe just touching that piece of wall there. Grab it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do some reps. It's just like working out. I mean, if we treat our golf drills like a person who works out treats their reps, I find that very helpful. Okay, if I'm going to set up in my house here, I'm going to set a goal for myself. Okay, I'll do 4 sets of 15, let's say this. So I'm here, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I'm counting the 2 here. That counts as 1 rep. And I'm doing that over and over and over again. I feel that's very helpful. Okay, so extension towards our target, driving down to the ball, keeping the low point in front of the ball, that's all going to help. It's going to keep you from falling back because it's really hard for me to extend towards the target if I'm falling back. Okay, all these things are going to help us drive down and through the golf ball. Now let's find another drill here that's going to help us drive down and through the ball. What I want you to do is, you can do this anywhere, but take your golf ball here. I love doing this on the range. I hope this is not cut out here. Let me just make sure that you guys can see this here. Okay, what I'm going to do is just move the tees a little bit further back here. Okay, so this is a great drill to do on the driving range, or even if you're in your round. Obviously, we can't put a tee on the ground, but maybe we can look at something on the ground and do this drill. So what we're going to do is put this tee just a ball or 2 in front of our ball here. And what we're doing in our practice swing is we're feeling, again, we're staying down, We are brushing the ground after the ball for as long as we possibly can, and we're extending out through. So I know here, if I can take a swing and hit this tee, then I'm in a good spot. I brushed the ground, my club hit the ground after the ball. Now, if I'm swinging and I'm not hitting this tee, okay, if I do that, there's no way I'm going to make good contact with this ball. Maybe I'll get lucky 1 out every 5 times. But this is a great drill to try on the practice range. Now, if you're in round, you can still think of this drill. You can have your golf ball there. Maybe there's a dead piece of grass, or maybe there's a divot that's right in front of your ball or something. You can look at that, and you can work on trying to hit that, brushing the ground. In your practice swings, I want you guys to take some grass with it, okay? Some turf with your practice swing. Don't swing over your ball. Get your body used to hitting down and through it more, okay? So, again here, just in front of the ball, and I can think smooth, back through, driving down. And if I'm hitting that tee, I'm in a good spot to hit a good shot. So let's hit one here. Okay, I've been talking for 15 minutes. And let's hit one here, because I always find it funny that when golf coaches teach you how to do something and then hit a bad shot. We all hit bad shots, and that's okay. This is one of the hardest shots to hit. But we need to know what happened, what went wrong, and what we need to do to fix that. So one thing I didn't talk about is ball position that I'll cover real quickly here before I set up. And the ball position can vary a little bit, but it can't be back in your stance, okay? I never want to see you hit a 3-wood in the center of your stance, because number one, what's that going to do? One, you're going to think maybe, oh, it's too far behind me, I got to fall back. Or two, we're hitting down on it more because it's back in our stance and we're getting really steep and chopping down on it. So if the ball position is in the center of our stance, it's going to set us up for negative results. So where should the ball position be? Well, with the driver, it's off the inside of the left heel. For the 3-wood, anywhere from the outside of your left ear as a right-handed golfer to the inside of your left heel. For me, I kind of like it just kind of off my kind of the inside of my shoulder blade here. I think that's a good spot for me. So, going to be a little bit wider than an iron swing. The ball position is going to be off my left shoulder. Let's take a practice swing here. And what am I going to think? Down and through. Okay, brushing the grass. All right, and we're thinking smooth, shallow. This is steep. This is shallow. Shallow, driving through. Let's see if we can hit one here for you guys. Oh, yeah. That's a beauty right there. Okay? That's one of those times where the golf instructor doesn't make a fool out of himself. He backs up what he talked about. Let's take a look at our numbers. 276 carry, 297 total, 161 ball speed. We take that all day long here. But, I mean, let's just talk about tempo here for a second. Because you may have seen that swing and you may have told yourself, wow, that looks really quick. For me, I have a much quicker tempo. Every golfer will have different tempos. If you look at the guys on tour, from Hideki to Henrik Stenson, you'll see completely different tempos. So some people are better with a slower tempo. Some people are better with faster tempo. I have a faster tempo, but at the same time, I still have to tell myself, hey, Josh, don't get too quick here. Even though to you guys, it'll look really fast. But for me, it's a little bit of one of my slower tempos. So I'm thinking swinging more smoothly on the way back and then accelerating on the way through. We have a longer club here. This longer club is going to generate more club head speed. We don't have to try to swing as hard as we possibly can on these shots just because we have 280 yards to the hole, or 260 yards, 250 yards, whatever it may be, whatever your 3-wood distance is. We are seeing this hole that's really far away. And in our minds, we're thinking, okay, we need to swing hard. But guess what? This club is drastically longer than my 4-iron, okay? Look at the difference here. Talking about 4 or 5 inches. Okay, that length is just going to help me swing it faster. All right. Also, less loft, a little bit of a hotter face on the 3-wood. All that stuff is going to help me hit the ball further with my 3-wood. So we don't have to try to swing outside of ourselves. Let the club do the work. Okay, and that's so crucial. I talk about it all the time, but what I want you guys to feel, especially on these long shots, is like you're shooting a bow and arrow. We're pulling we're pulling it back, the string back nice and slow, and then we're delivering it. Okay, so I want you to feel like we're loading, 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 deliver. All right. So a couple of takeaways there from the 3-wood that I want to kind of go over again, and then we're going to get into the hybrids and the long irons here. But the only other thing that I kind of want to talk about with the 3-wood here is strategy, figuring out when we want to hit this shot. Did we practice enough to have the shot in the bag to try it on the course? Because you can be a great 3-wood player off the tee, like I said, maybe teeing a little bit too high, hitting up on it more, and you're okay with that. But off the ground, you're not confident. You know, you're still working on it. If you have 250 yards into a par 5, your 3-wood's 250 yards, there's water up there, or there's some sort of hazard, I'm here to tell you that it's okay to lay up, okay? You know, it's okay to hit the smart, safe shot. So there's times that we need to try to go for greens, try to take advantage of our length on par 5s when there's not much trouble, looking at spots we can miss, making sure we're putting nice, smooth swings on the club or on the ball. Those are all crucial things. So strategy plays a big part. Okay, I've seen too many people try to hit the hero shot with their 3-woods when they have no business doing it, when they know they're not good 3-wood players. They barely ever practice it. Okay, so my one tip to you would be, yes, practice it. Work those drills that we talked about. Okay, talking about getting more extension, not falling back, getting more weight to the lead side, rotating. Okay, I don't want you swaying this way and trying to hit the ball because we're going to hit down on it. But we're rotating, we're getting that left hip back behind us, and a huge point for me that we talked about a couple times, I gave you a couple drills, is extension, driving down low and through the golf ball, being here. If we can be here, if we can be in this position, we're going to be in good shape. If we're in this position, we're dead. Or anywhere near this position, we're dead. If we're driving down through the ball, we're in good shape. So, a couple of takeaways here with the 3-wood. Make sure you're teeing the golf ball up low when you're hitting these balls off the teeing box. Okay, that way you're getting used to having more of a sweeping swing and not a swing that's hitting up on the ball. Okay, also making sure nice and smooth. Let the club do the work. Let the length and the face do the work of hitting the golf ball far. Just because we have a long distance away from the hole doesn't mean we have to swing it too hard. Make sure we're getting extension through the ball. Work on those drills that I told you about. Work on that tee drill on the range, and also work on it on the course. When you're taking your practice swings with the 3-wood, make sure you're taking a little bit of grass with you. Okay? And lastly, is the strategy. Don't try to hero shots. If you're not feeling comfortable, if there's trouble up there in the par 5, hit the layup shot. Okay? So I think that was a good kind of like little opening section there with the 3-wood. We'll dive deeper into it later on. But I think those drills that we talked about are really going to help you go a long way there. So next, let's talk about long irons and hybrids. Okay, I got my 4-iron here. I'm a long iron player. I don't play hybrids. They've never suited my eye. I tried to hit them before, and it just doesn't really work for me. But I think hybrids are one of the best inventions to golf that we had recently, or at least fairly recently. You know, hybrids are great if you're somebody who isn't good with their long irons. Look at yourself in the mirror. Look at your game. If you're hitting long irons right now and it's not good, maybe you need to swallow your pride a little bit and start hitting a hybrid. There's nothing wrong with it. Matt Kuchar was hitting a hybrid, and he made it to the Final Four of match play, okay? So there's no problem. There's plenty of tour players that hit hybrids. Now, especially, you know, when you need a hybrid, I think especially if you don't have a lot of speed. If you don't have a lot of speed with your low irons, it's going to be really hard for you to hit the ball high enough for it to travel long enough. You know, if you're someone who swings the driver 80 miles per hour, by the time you're getting down to your long irons, you're only swinging at 65, 70 miles an hour. It's going to be really hard for you. So going to more, even a 7-wood, 5-wood, hybrids, the more woods in the bag, the better. So there's something to think about. I just wanted to kind of open up this section here by talking about that. Now, this is not my hybrid. I just found this here in the simulator room at Atlantic City Country Club. So we're not going to try to hit this. The shaft is, I think, a little bit too flimsy for me here. So we're really just going to be talking about hitting long irons. But when we talk about technique, the long iron is not much different than what we need to do with the hybrid. In fact, it's pretty much the same. Okay, and a lot of the things that we talked about with the 3-wood are going to be true with the long iron. Only difference is we're getting a little bit steeper. We're hitting down a little bit more. When we get to the 3-wood up to the pitching wedge, we are going to be taking steeper and bigger divots as we get to the pitching wedge. Pitching wedge down to the 4-iron, we're taking smaller, shallower divots. Okay, that's the only difference that we're talking about there. Now, when we're talking about hitting 4-irons here, it shouldn't be much different than the 7-iron. Let me grab my 7-iron real quick here. Okay, I mean, so obviously the difference is less loft with my 4-iron, and my 4-iron is much longer. I mean, it's not a terrible amount, but you're talking about 2 inches longer. Okay, so if you're somebody who can hit your 7-irons well, you have good technique, you're hitting down on the ball, you're compressing it, your hands are forward, you're getting really good compression with your 7-iron, and you have plenty of speed, there's no reason why you can't hit a 4-iron, okay? It's essentially the same thing. Yes, we're a little bit further away from our work here. We're a little bit further away from our golf ball. We have less loft, but we're talking about essentially the same swing mechanics. There is a couple things that we're going to change with setup, but not much different. So let's talk about setup here. 7-iron is going to be a little bit more centered in my stance. Not all the way centered, but maybe off my left side of my chin. The 4-iron is going to be off my left ear. Okay, we talked about the 3-woods kind of off the inside of my shoulder blade. The 4-iron is going to be off my left ear. And the only thing that's different here in this swing is, yes, my stance may be a little bit wider because it's a little bit of a longer club. I'm a little bit further away from the ball, but my confidence is going to stay the same. So many times with long irons, people they lose their confidence. They look down and they're seeing less loft. And again, it kind of goes back to what we talked about with the 3-wood. They're seeing less loft, so they're trying to help the golf ball up the ground, and they're changing everything they did with their pitching wedge, their 8-iron and their 9-iron that they did well, and they're changing it because they're trying to help the golf ball off the ground. Also, we are farther away from our target. We talked about this with the 3-wood. We see our target is further away. So what do we try to do? We try to hit the ball further. Oh, the target's further away. I need to hit the ball further. No, you need to put the same golf swing on it as you did with your 7-iron. That's what you need to do because this club is longer. It's automatically going to swing faster than your 7-iron, and it's got less loft. With that faster speed, with that less loft, that's going to get the ball to the hole. So it's so important to understand that, okay? So the biggest thing for me is we're keeping the same confidence as we have a 7-iron in hand. I'm looking down here, and I have a 4-iron. I'm thinking it's my 7-iron. Who cares? Okay, I'm just as confident. I'm going to put just as smooth of a swing on this golf ball. Okay, yes, my setup is a little bit different, a little bit wider. Ball's off my left ear. What am I going to feel? A little bit shallower. So the club head is back behind our body for longer. And again, we're kind of feeling that same thought of brushing the ground in front of the ball for as long as we can. Okay, we're driving down and through the ball. When we try to hit the ball longer, we didn't talk about this with the 3-wood. I meant to mention it, but one of the reasons why people top their 3-wood is, again, they're trying to hit it hard and they stand up, early extend. Okay, so not only are they falling back and flipping, but early extension. Okay, so many times people are trying to kill their 3-wood and stand up, top, stand up, topping the ball. So we kind of alluded to staying down and through it, making sure we're utilizing our body correctly. Our left hip is working back behind us. We're adding a little bit of side bend here, and we're staying down and driving through. Okay, a good little pre-shot routine or something to do with your body to make sure you're getting your body in the correct position is just to stand up right here, turn towards the target with your hips and your upper body. So I'll do it facing you guys. Stand here, turn, so my hips are at you, my chest is at you, and now I'm just adding side bend down. Okay, that's the ideal position that we see so many tour players get into. And from here, we can feel like we're driving down and through. So ideally, we're here, we turn, chest and hips towards you. Now we're adding a little bit of side bend here to get down. Okay, so that's going to help us stay down. I only brought that up because it's so crucial when we're hitting our long irons, when we're hitting our 3-woods, to stay down here. Okay, we're not standing up. The hips aren't getting closer to the golf ball. Our hips are extending towards our target. We're not extending to the golf ball and standing up. Okay, we're staying down and driving. But so many times because of that early extension, that happens because we're trying to hit the ball too hard. Okay, so again, it goes back to thinking the same mentality as having a 7-iron or 8-iron in our hand. Okay, so we're feeling like we're nice and smooth here, inside, out. Again, that same feeling with the bow and arrow, pulling it back nice and smoothly, firing it at the target. All right, let's hit one here. Okay, I'm going to think shallow on the way through. So this is steep again. This is more shallow. We are driving through. Our weight is going to be slightly more on our lead side than it is on our trail side at setup, 55-45. And we're going to feel like we're getting that weight forward there, and we're driving through. Now, we're not like sliding through. Okay, we'll talk about what we can do to fix that in a second. But the weight's still 55-45, shallow, driving down and through. Now, let's hit one here. All right, this 4-iron should go, for me, about 220. Okay, so we're thinking this is a 220-yard club, but I'm still thinking same technique as a 7-iron. Okay, that's a pretty good shot there. Just telling maybe 5 yards right of our target line, but we take that all day. 222-yard carry, 230 total. But for me, we kind of alluded to it before, how I have a little bit of a quicker tempo. But in my mind there, I was thinking much smoother on the way back, and my head is staying more over the ball and covered. As we start getting really quick, sometimes what will happen is we'll stand up, or we will fall forward to the ball on the way back, and then we stand up out of it on the way forward. So a good thought for me is smooth, and we're staying down and covering the golf ball. So again, just because I'm hitting this ball 220 yards doesn't mean I have to try to swing like I'm hitting it that far. Okay? So I think that's so crucial. So many people get intimidated when they have longer clubs in their hands. Okay, that should not be the case. Okay, that was another good one. 220 carry, 235 total, right down our target line. And again, we're just thinking smooth. We're thinking weight on the lead side. We're rotating our weight inside of our feet, meaning we're not sliding back or sliding through. We're rotating inside of our feet. A great drill to do is grab yourself a chair or a stand bag like this. There's 2 things that I like to do with the stand bag. Number 1, we talked about early extension. So one thing that you could do is set the stand bag up behind you like a fist length away from your left glute, okay? And as we work back, we get the right glute towards the bag. And as we work through, the left glute goes towards the bag so that we make sure we're having our left hip work back behind us. If our left hip's working back behind us, that means our hips aren't going towards the target. Our hips aren't going towards the golf ball. We want our hips to go and extend towards the target. We want to add some side bend here to stay down and through the golf ball. So that's number 1. We can go back, and then we can feel like it's getting into this bag. If it knocks it over, great. not my bag. These are my clubs. These were here. So the other thing we can do is to prevent us from sliding is just to put this bag here. I like to put it back just a little bit, just make sure it's not going to mess up your follow through here. Again, we can do this with a chair, but we're just putting it just on the left side of our front foot here. And what this is going to do is going to prevent us from sliding into the bag, okay? That's another thing we do not want to do. If we start sliding into the bag, what happens is our hands get stuck behind us. What we have to do is either flip or we stab down into the grab. Again, when we're hitting our 3-woods and our long irons and our hybrids, we want a shallow low point. We want our divots to be really shallow, okay? We want to feel like this club is on the ground and brushing the ground for as long as we can. This should be our longest low point of any club we have. If it's steep, you're going to have a really short low point. This club is going to enter the ground and get out quick. Okay, when it's shallow, it's going to be more of a, we can think this low point, this club's going to be on the ground for a foot, even though it's not going to be. I think it's a good thought. But when that bag is here, we can, what do we do? Start our rotation down, and then we extend towards our target. This is the rotation that we want, down and towards our target. This is not what we want. Shh, into it. All right, so let's hit one. Let's hit one with this drill. Another great drill to use here. Okay, so we're going to set this bag up here. If I hit this bag or it falls over, I didn't do something correctly. All right, another good one there. So that's another great drill to work on. When we're talking about tonight is contact mostly. We didn't really talk about path or face angle, which we will talk about in other weeks, and we've talked about that in past previous lives. Tonight is all about contact. So, and to have good contact, we need to be using our body correctly. We need to understand that every shot off the ground needs to have a slightly descending blow on the golf ball. As you get to a 3-wood, it's less descending. As we get to our pitching wedge and our wedges, we're a little steeper. We're hitting more down on the ball. But these, we cannot have a club head that's working up at the golf ball when the ball is on the ground. We can only have that with a tee. So when we're teeing up our long irons, when we're teeing up our fairway woods, our hybrids, make sure it's nice and low. I know we alluded to that earlier, but I definitely wanted to mention that again. Okay? So we've been talking for about 40 minutes now. I'm going to open it up to a Q&A real quick. I know these questions are kind of hard for me to see on this the way we have this live set up here, but if Chris, my colleague back working the computer, if you could type in any questions we have, and if you guys haven't had any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section right now, right below. But I just want to kind of just go over real quickly what we talked about again tonight, and then I'll look at see if we have any questions, and then we'll close out from there. We talked about the 3-wood first. The things we talked about was not falling back and trying to add loft. Okay, let the club do the work. Get down and extension through the ball. This is a great drill. The button to grip on the belly button, work on this. The other drill was club on the wall in golf posture and bringing the right hand up and getting to the club. Okay, we talked about that. The other one was the tee on the ground. Place a tee on the ground, a golf ball in front of your golf ball. Take practice swings hitting that tee. Every practice swing you take, you need to be taking a little bit of grass. Then we talked about long iron and hybrids. First of all, figure out what the club is correct for you. Which of these clubs is correct for you? Maybe you're a person who swings the club much faster. You have better contact. Maybe you can hit the irons. Maybe you hit a 2-iron, 3-iron, 4-iron. If you're someone who swings it lower, you're not as consistent, higher handicap, maybe the hybrid's correct for you. Try it out. Swallow the pride. Make sure when we're swinging this 4-iron, we're thinking the same thoughts as our 7-iron. Confidence, smooth, staying down on the ball, okay, and driving through it. When we have a long way away from the target, don't think we need to try to swing the club harder. These longer clubs are going to do the job for us. Let the loft do the work for you, and that way you can hit the ball far enough and think smoothly. Think pulling the the bow and arrow back smoothly, and then firing it. So I think that was a pretty good overview here. Let me see if we have any questions. Okay. So when teeing the ball up with longer irons, good question. Should we tee the ball up lower or higher than our pitching wedge? You can tee the ball up a little bit higher with your longer irons, just a little bit if you want a little bit more forgiveness. But the tee height should stay about the same. Now, when you're hitting a wedge, that tee should barely be off the ground. I mean, your ball should be just hovering off the top of the grass. Now, from there, you can bring it up maybe a quarter of an inch if you have a longer iron. But for the most part, the tee height is about the same. But yes, if you want, you can tee it up just a little bit higher with the longer irons if you like. And I think that's a great question. So thanks for asking that. Will this be able to be viewed on a later time? Yes. All of our lives will be saved back here. This is live number 5. So we do have 4 other ones that you can go back and watch right now. That's just another benefit to a premium subscriber. So, you know, if you don't make every Monday, if you miss some Mondays, you can always go back and watch these. So they will be saved. It's a great question there. So, okay, let me look here. I had a question. Talk a little bit about ball position with fairway woods. We kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but the ball position with the driver should be off the left heel. Ball position with the wedge is off the middle, so right off the chin. So as a 3-wood, long irons, they start to work back to the pitching wedge. So the 3-wood can vary a little bit, but for the most part, in my opinion, it should be off the inside of the left shoulder blade for a right-handed golfer. So kind of off the armpit here. So it falls down to maybe the left side of your pec. Anywhere in there, I think. But you can work it a little bit. But I don't want to see that ball too far forward, so it shouldn't be off the inside of your left heel like a driver. Because if the ball's too far forward, we're going to be reaching out, trying to get up to it. We're going to be hitting down on it too much. Calls slices where the face is going to be open. If it's too far back, we're going to be falling back or getting really steep and choppy. So that, you know, you have an inch or two play here from the left inside of the left shoulder blade, but it shouldn't get too far forward. It shouldn't get too far back. So ball position there, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about that. How do I hit a lower, longer iron? Okay, then we had a rough question. All right, how do we hit a lower, longer iron? I mean, that's a good question. When we talk about lower shots with the longer iron, yes, we want the ball maybe a little bit further back in our stance, but the couple keys that I hit a lot of stingers. For those of you who don't know me, I have a trick shot page, and I do other golf content where I hit a bunch of stingers, like really low ones. And the key to that is, and the key to the Tiger Stinger is, the ball is more centered, neutral, so it is a little bit, maybe an inch and a half, 2 inches further back than I typically play my 4-iron here. What I'm doing is I'm making sure that I'm really covering the ball here, so my hands are really far ahead of the ball. A good drill there is to grab the club a couple inches from the head, have the grip of your club off the left side here, and just keep that grip off your side without you hitting it, so without flipping your body. So we're getting that hands more head. We're de-lofting the club more. So our dynamic loft of our 4-iron becomes more like, just say, a 2-iron. So we want our shaft angle to be more like this on the way through. We don't want to be getting steep like this. We don't want to hit down and jabby. That's why so many people throw it back in their stance, and it's bad because they're just hitting so far down on it that they're creating a ton of backspin. That ball may start a little bit low, but it's rising up, and especially if you're hitting into wind, that's not what you want. So the couple things to think about, again, so that ball's centered. We're using our rotation to get our hands out in front of the ball more. So we're holding onto our angles a little bit longer here, and we're feeling like we're brushing the ground like this, okay? I don't know I can't see the arc of my last shot here. But for practice here, let's go ahead and hit a regular one. I'm going to hit a normal shot here with my 4-iron. Okay. That's a normal stock 4-iron shot here. And let's look at our launch. Real quick here. Launch angle is 12.6. Now let's try to hit a low one. Okay, and we're trying to hit a low one, we're still trying to hit it hard. Sometimes people will hit like this low punch. It's not that. We're still trying to hit it hard. So here's the things I'm thinking. Hands are more ahead, and they're finishing nice and low and around my body. So I'm finishing with my hands this way, more towards the wall, as opposed to if I'm hitting a high when I'm hitting up like this. So our launch was basically 13 there. What I'm thinking here is covering the ball more, brushing, not steep, and hands low and around our body. See if we can do one here. Just like that. I mean, that's really good. And that ball is going to go just as far as my stock 4-iron. But let's take a look at the launch. 7.8 launch. Okay, that's almost half or twice as low as my previous one. So I think that's going to be pretty helpful there. All right, guys, we're going to end it there. I think that was a good spot to end it with. Thanks again for joining me. If you like this live, if you appreciated it, give it a like, give us a follow here at SwingU. You can also check out my YouTube page, Josh Kelly Golf, and visit us and join us every Monday night here for SwingU Live. We're hanging out, we're having a fun time, and we're getting better at golf. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.